He whispered 3 words that broke me. Emotional gay love story. You know that feeling when you're standing at the edge of something that could either save you or destroy you? When one decision, one moment, one person could rewrite your entire story. That's where I was the night Alex Rivera moved into my apartment. I thought I was just getting a roommate to split the rent in this overpriced hellhole of a city. I had no idea I was opening the door to the man who would unravel every defense I'd built around my heart, who would show me what it truly means to be wanted, not despite who I am, but because of it. This is the story of how my straight roommate, sleeping with his door wide open, shirt discarded like an afterthought, his body a silent invitation in the dim glow of the hallway light, became the one I couldn't breathe without. But the path to that truth? It was a slow burn of stolen glances, unspoken truths, and the kind of pain that carves you open before it heals you. My name is Ethan Harper. I'm 28, a barista by day and a struggling writer by night. And this is my confession. The eviction notice came taped to my door on a rainy Thursday in Chicago. The kind of downpour that turns the streets into rivers and soaks through your soul. My landlord, some faceless corporation, had decided to renovate the building into luxury condos. Translation: get out, poor artist. Your stories aren't paying the bills, and neither is your minimum wage gig at the corner cafe. I'd been scraping by in a one-bedroom walk-up in Wicker Park, surrounded by half-finished manuscripts and empty coffee mugs, dreaming of the day a publisher would see the queer narratives I poured onto the page, tales of hidden loves, fractured families, and the quiet revolutions of the heart. But dreams don't pay rent, and with 2 weeks to find a new place or crash on a friend's couch, I turned to the dreaded roommate apps. That's when Alex's message popped up. Hey, Alex here, 29, architect. Relocating from Denver for a firm downtown. Tidy, low-key, gone most days for site visits. Need something ASAP, references available. His profile pic showed a guy with tousled auburn hair, a jawline that could cut glass, and eyes the color of storm clouds, gray-blue and intense. No creep factor, no overly eager emojis. I messaged back, and we set up a viewing for the next afternoon. When Alex showed up, rain dripping from his leather jacket, I wasn't ready for the way he commanded the space. He was built like someone who climbed scaffolding for fun, tall, maybe 6'3", with shoulders that filled the doorframe and a presence that made my tiny apartment feel even smaller. "Ethan?" he said, shaking off the water like a dog and extending a hand. His grip was strong, calloused from years of handling blueprints and tools, warm despite the chill outside. "Thanks for the quick response. This city's a beast." "Tell me about it," I replied, ushering him in. The place was a mess. Books piled on the coffee table, my laptop open to a rejected short story query, but Alex didn't flinch. He wandered through the kitchen with its exposed brick I'd painted over in a fit of inspiration, the bathroom with the leaky faucet I'd learned to ignore, and the spare room that would be his if he took it. "Solid bones," he murmured, running a hand along the windowsill. "Good light for whatever you do here." He nodded at my desk, cluttered with notebooks and a typewriter I'd bought for the aesthetic. "Writer," I said, bracing for the usual dismissal. Straight guys like him, rugged, practical, often saw art as a hobby, not a life, but Alex's eyes lit up. "No shit, what kind?" He leaned against the counter, genuinely curious. "Fiction. Mostly queer stories. Identity, love, the mess of it all." I waited for the awkward shift, the polite nod that screamed discomfort. Instead, he picked up one of my printed pages, a scene about a closeted teen in a conservative town, and read a few lines. "This is raw," he said, voice low. "The way you describe the fear, it's like you've lived it." I had. Coming out at 19 in a small Midwest town hadn't been pretty. Something like that. He set the page down carefully. "I'd love to read more sometime." "And yeah, I'll take the room." "Rent split fair?" Just like that. No haggling, no weird vibes. He moved in that weekend with a duffel bag, a rolling suitcase of clothes, a box of architecture books, and a framed photo of him hiking with what looked like his siblings, 2 sisters, all grinning under a Colorado sky. "Starting over," he explained as we hauled the last load up the 3 flights of stairs. "Left a lot in Denver. Bad breakup, job burnout. Chicago's my reset. His tone was light, but his eyes held shadows. I didn't pry. We all carry ghosts. Our first night as roommates, we christened the place with pizza from the spot down the block and beers on the fire escape, the city lights twinkling like distant promises. Alex talked about his new project, a sustainable high-rise downtown, the thrill of designing spaces that people lived in. I shared about my writing, the rejections piling up like autumn leaves, the freelance editing gigs that kept the lights on. "What's the hardest part?" he asked, peeling the label off his bottle. "Putting yourself out there," I admitted. "Especially when your stories are about being gay in a world that still pretends we're optional." He nodded slowly. "Must take guts. More than sketching buildings, that's for sure." The way he said it, without pity or performance, made something in me unclench. "Here's to new beginnings," he toasted, clinking his bottle against mine. Friends, I thought. I could handle friends. The routine settled in fast. Alex was out by 6:45 a.m., gym bag slung over his shoulder, smelling like fresh soap and eucalyptus from whatever fancy body wash he used. He'd brew coffee strong enough to wake the dead, leave a mug for me with a post-it, fuel for the words. I'd write in the mornings, sling lattes in the afternoons, come home to sketch ideas or revise until my eyes burned. Alex rolled in around 8, sometimes 9, sketches under his arm, apologizing for the late hours even though the apartment was mine as much as his. We cooked together a couple nights a week. His stir-fries were killer, my pasta experiments hit or miss, and traded stories. He was meticulous about chores, wiped down counters without being asked, stocked the fridge with the craft beer I mentioned liking once. But the thing that undid me? Alex slept with his door open, wide open, and he slept like a god, sprawled on his stomach or back, sheets tangled low on his hips, wearing nothing but black boxer briefs that hugged his thighs and ass in ways that should be illegal. The first time I stumbled upon it, heading to the kitchen for water at 3 a.m., I nearly dropped my glass. Moonlight striped across his back, highlighting the curve of his spine, the scatter of freckles on his shoulders. His breathing was deep even, one arm dangling off the bed. I stood there too long, heart pounding, before forcing myself away. "He's straight, Ethan, locker room casual." Doesn't mean anything. But it became a nightly torment. I'd tiptoe past, eyes averted, taking sleeping pills to crash early and avoid the pull. 4 weeks in, on a sweltering August evening, the shift happened. I was deep in a story about unrequited love when Alex burst through the door, tie askew, face thunderous. "Fucking disaster," he growled, tossing his bag down. "Client changed specs last minute, team's in chaos, and my ex just posted engagement photos." The last bit slipped out like venom. I closed my laptop. "Sounds brutal. Want to talk?" He collapsed on the couch, head in hands. "We ended a year ago. She said I was married to my work, never fully there. Guess she found someone who is." His voice cracked. I sat beside him, close enough to feel his heat but not touching. "That's on her, not you. You're allowed to grieve." He looked up, eyes red-rimmed. "How do you do it? Stay open after all the shit?" "Practice," I said softly. "Being gay teaches you resilience. The world's full of doors slamming in your face." He was quiet then. "You deserve someone who sees you, Ethan. All of you." The words hung heavy, his gaze locking on mine. Something electric sparked. "So do you," I whispered. He stood abruptly. "Shower, bed, thanks for listening." "Friend," he called me as he vanished. But that night, emerging in just those briefs, water beating on his skin, he paused. "Can't sleep." Writer's block. He grabbed Waters, sat on the floor by my desk, watching me type. His presence was comforting, not intrusive. "Read me something." I did, a snippet about longing. He listened, eyes closed. "That's me right now," he murmured. "Wanting what I can't have." Our eyes met. The air thickened. Summer turned oppressive, fans whirring uselessly. Alex ditched even the briefs some nights, a sheet his only cover. I'd glimpse toned legs, the V of his hips, and retreat to my room, cursing my imagination. Then came my break. A literary magazine accepted my short story for their fall issue. I whooped so loud Alex ran out, thinking I'd hurt myself, shirtless and concerned. "They said yes," I yelled, thrusting my phone at him. His grin was radiant. He enveloped me in a hug, bare chest against my t-shirt, arms like steel bands. I inhaled him, fitted perfectly under his chin. Pulling back, we both froze, cheeks flushed. "Proud of you," he said huskily. "Reading?" Wouldn't miss it. Prep was hell. Edits, anxiety spirals. Alex became my anchor, forcing meals, asking probing questions about themes, really seeing the queer heartbreak I wove in. One night he fixated on a poem I'd written post-rejection about almost love. "This one guts me," he said. "The space between reach and touch, fear holding it back." "Ever felt it?" I asked, hem at my eyes. "Right now," my pulse thundered. "Someone here?" "Danger zone." "What if?" His breath hitched, hand brushing mine. The met my eyes. "Right now," my pulse thundered. "Someone here?" "Danger zone." "What if?" His breath hitched, hand brushing mine. Then his phone buzzed. Work. Moment shattered. The reading night I was wrecked, nerves in a charcoal sweater and jeans. Alex waited, devastating in a navy blazer, hair styled. "You clean up nice," he teased, voice rough. Train ride, his hand on my back in the crowd, steadying. At the venue, he hyped me, charming editors, quoting lines he'd memorized. My friend Lena sidled up. "Your roommate's a snack." "Hit that yet?" "He's straight, but was he?" I read, voice steady despite trembling hands. Applause. Afterward, on the walk home, rain starting. "You were brilliant," Alex said. Shelter under an awning. Tension snapped. "Ethan," his hand cupped my face. "I can't pretend anymore." Kiss, soft, then desperate. "Fireworks in the storm, but dawn brought doubt." He pulled away. I don't know what I am. Scared. Heartbreak. Weeks of avoidance, open doors now closed. I poured pain into writing. Climax, my birthday. He planned surprise, rooftop picnic, city skyline. "I'm sorry," he said. Left Denver running from feelings. For a guy. Buried it. You woke it. Tears. "I love you, Ethan," whispered. "Be mine." We collided. Kisses, confessions. Love bloomed fierce, beautiful. He came out slowly, us against the world. My story's published. His design soared. Together, unbreakable. That's how my straight roommate became my everything. The journey? Hardest, most exquisite thing I've known. The gallery was buzzing, a kaleidoscope of voices and clinking glasses under the soft glow of track lighting. My paintings, bold slashes of color and raw emotion, hung on the walls, drawing crowds. I, Elias Quinn, stood in the corner, clutching a glass of cheap Prosecco, trying not to fidget in my too-tight blazer. This was my first solo exhibition, a dream I'd chased through years of ramen noodles and sleepless nights in my tiny Brooklyn studio. Across the room, my roommate Noah Caldwell leaned against a wall, his tailored suit making him look like he'd stepped out of a magazine. Noah was the kind of guy who could charm anyone. His easy smile and quick wit had landed him a cushy marketing job at a Manhattan startup. He'd been my rock these past few months, helping me frame canvases, hauling supplies up 4 flights of stairs, and hyping me up when imposter syndrome threatened to drown me. My friend Lila, a sculptor with a penchant for dramatic eyeliner, sidled up to me, her grin mischievous. "Elias, that tall drink of water over there hasn't taken his eyes off you all night." I followed her gaze. Noah was staring right at me, his hazel eyes catching the light in a way that sent a shiver down my spine. When our eyes locked, he smiled. Not his usual friendly grin, but something softer, more intimate, like a secret meant just for me. My stomach flipped. "Lila, don't," I muttered, tearing my gaze away. "He's straight. He's got an ex-fiancé and everything." She raised an eyebrow. "Straight guys don't look at their roommates like they're dessert, Elias. Trust me." I wanted to argue, to shove the hope she was dangling far away, but the seed was planted. That night, as the high of selling, 3 paintings carried me through the crowded streets. Noah and I walked home instead of taking the train. The September air was warm, the city pulsing with life, laughter spilling from bars, the hum of taxis, the faint strum of a busker's guitar. "You were incredible tonight," Noah said, his voice warm. "Watching people lose it over your art, seeing you light up like that. Elias, you were unstoppable. I couldn't have done it without you," I said, meaning it. "You've been more than a roommate, Noah. You've been everything." He stopped walking, his expression shifting. "Is that all we are? Roommates?" The question hung in the air, heavy with possibility. I froze on the sidewalk, my heart pounding. "What are you asking?" He ran a hand through his dark hair, mussing the perfect styling. "That night I told you about Claire, my ex?" I lied. Well, not about her getting engaged, but about why I was so wrecked. I wasn't heartbroken. I was relieved, and that scared the hell out of me. Why? My voice was barely a whisper, because it meant admitting something I've been dodging forever. He took a step closer, his eyes searching mine. "For the past 3 months, I haven't been able to stop thinking about you. Every time you're painting or laughing or just existing, I feel something I've never let myself feel. I leave my door open at night, hoping you'll glance in. I'm terrified, Elias. Terrified of what it means. Terrified of losing you if I say it out loud." "You're straight," I said, the words a reflex, a shield. He laughed, bitter and raw. "That's the story I've told myself for 29 years. Dated women, convinced myself the way I felt about my college teammate was just bromance. But you're extraordinary, and you make me want to stop lying. I don't want to lose you, but I don't know how to do this." Tears stung my eyes. "You won't lose me. Noah, that painting, the one about unrequited longing, it was you. Every brushstroke was you." His breath hitched. "Really?" I didn't answer with words. I closed the gap between us and kissed him. For a moment, he was still, and panic clawed at me. Had I ruined everything? Then his hands cupped my face, and he kissed me back, fierce and trembling, like he'd been holding this in for years. His lips were warm, tasting of wine and courage. The world faded, the city, the noise, everything but us. When we pulled apart, gasping, Noah pressed his forehead to mine. "I've never kissed a guy before," he whispered. "I don't know what I'm doing." "Neither did I my first time," I said, smiling through the ache in my chest. "We'll figure it out." "What if I screw this up? What if I can't be what you need?" "I don't need perfect, Noah. I need you to try, to be honest." "Can you do that?" He nodded, eyes shining. "Yeah, I can try." We walked home hand in hand, the city blurring around us. Back at our apartment, we stood in the living room, awkward and buzzing with newness. "So," Noah said, rubbing the back of his neck. "So," I echoed, grinning. "I want to do this right," he said, resolute. "Dates. Learning how to be a good boyfriend, is that what this is?" The word sent warmth flooding through me. "If you want it to be." "I do." He stepped closer, brushing a curl from my forehead with a tenderness that made my throat tight. "But I'm gonna mess up. I'll overthink, maybe panic. You okay with that?" "Only if you're okay with me spiraling about my art and freaking out over blank canvases." He laughed, the sound bright and real. "Already signed up for that." "One more thing," he said, serious now. "I'm not out. Not to my family, not to work. I need time." "I get it," I said, and I did. Coming out was a jagged path, one I'd walked years ago when I lost friends and distant relatives who couldn't handle my truth. We'll go at your pace. Relief softened his face. He kissed me again, slow and deliberate. A vow. Good night, Elias, he said, heading to his room. Good night, I called, then added, maybe close your door tonight? He grinned over his shoulder. Where's the fun in that? The first month was a whirlwind of stolen moments and cautious exploration. Noah was hesitant, every touch deliberate, like he was learning a new instrument. We'd sprawl on the couch, his head on my chest as I traced patterns on his arm, talking about everything. His childhood in Ohio, my chaotic art school years, our favorite terrible movies. He'd kiss me goodbye before work, quick and shy, leaving notes on the counter. Thinking of you. Home soon, but there were shadows. Noah was a ghost at his office, dodging questions about his dating life with vague excuses. When his mom called, every Sunday he'd shut himself in his room, his voice muffled but unmistakably performing the role of the straight, successful son. I understood the fear. God, I did. But it stung when he'd pull away if I brushed his hand in public or when he called me my roommate to a delivery guy. Successful son. I understood the fear, God. I did. But it stung when he'd pull away if I brushed his hand in public or when he called me my roommate to a delivery guy. You need to talk to him, Lila said over beers at a dive bar in Williamsburg. He's rewriting his whole world. That's huge. But so are your feelings, Elias. You can't be his secret forever. I know. I sighed. I just don't want to push him back into the closet. Love's not just patience, she said. It's honesty, too. The fight came in October at Noah's company gala, a swanky event at a midtown hotel. He'd been tense all week, and I'd chalked it up to work stress. But when I asked what time to be ready, his face crumpled. It's a work thing, he said, avoiding my eyes. Kinda dull. You'd hate it. The truth hit like a punch. You don't want me there. Because then they'd know. Elias, it's not like that. It's exactly like that. You're ashamed of me. Of us, I'm not ashamed. His voice cracked. I'm scared. I'm the new guy at work. If they know I'm, it'll change everything. The tech world's progressive, sure, but there's still this vibe. So I stay home while you play straight and charm your boss. That's not fair. No, what's not fair is being invisible. My voice shook. I'm not asking you to shout it from the rooftops, Noah, but I can't be your dirty secret. I'm trying to protect us. You're protecting yourself. The words were sharp, and I regretted them instantly, but the hurt was too raw. I've lost people for being gay. I know what it costs, but I built a life where I don't have to hide. Can you say that? He went quiet, and the silence was worse than shouting. I grabbed my coat. I'm going out. Somewhere I don't have to pretend. I ended up at a gay club in Hell's Kitchen, the bass thumping through my chest as I nursed a whiskey. Lila found me an hour later, pulling me into a hug as I fought tears. I love him, I choked out. But I can't keep doing this. You deserve to be seen, Elias, she said. Love's not enough if it's one-sided. Noah was waiting when I got home at 1 a.m., still in his gala suit, slumped on the couch. I'm sorry, he said, voice raw. You were right. I was awful at that party, wishing you were there. When my coworker asked if I was seeing anyone, I almost told her. I wanted to, but I choked. You don't have to come out to the world, I said, sitting beside him. But I need to know I'm not just convenient, that this is real. You're the realest thing I've ever had. He took my hands. Tell me how to fix this. I don't know, I admitted. But I can't be invisible. It's breaking me. He pulled me close and I let him, even as anger lingered. We held each other in the dark, both scared of losing what we'd built. Noah started therapy the next week, seeing a counselor who specialized in queer identity. He told me over takeout, his voice steady but nervous. I need to unpack the fear, the shame I didn't even know I was carrying. I want to be better. For you. For me. That's huge, I said, squeezing his hand. I'm also telling my brother, Levi, he added. He's in Chicago, but he's always been my safe space. If I can tell him, maybe the rest won't feel impossible. Step by step, Noah changed. He held my hand in quiet moments, on a deserted pier in the back of a movie theater. He called me his boyfriend to our barista, a small act that made my heart soar. When he told Levi over a video call, I gave him space, wandering the High Line. When I came back, Noah was crying but smiling. He wasn't surprised, he said, pulling me close. Said he always knew I was a little too into my lacrosse buddy in college. He's flying in next month to meet you. That's amazing, I said, kissing him. The words slipped out before I could stop them. I love you, Noah. He froze and my heart stopped. Then his eyes filled and he laughed through tears. I love you too, Elias, so much it's terrifying. I've never felt this before. We kissed messy and perfect like we were promising forever. The real challenge came in November. Noah's parents were coming to New York, a surprise visit to see their son's new life. He was a wreck pacing our apartment, rehearsing coming out scripts in his head. I don't know if I can do this, he admitted one night, his head in his hands. You don't have to, I said, rubbing his back. Not if you're not ready, but I want to. For you. For us. When his parents arrived, Noah was a bundle of nerves, but he didn't hide me. He introduced me as his boyfriend at dinner, his voice shaking but clear. His mom blinked, stunned, and his dad went quiet. The silence was brutal, but Noah held my hand under the table. I know this is a shock, Noah said, but I'm happy. Happier than I've ever been. Elias is... He's my home, his mom cried, not out of anger but overwhelm. His dad asked questions, clumsy but genuine. By the end of the weekend, they were asking about my art, inviting us to Ohio for Christmas. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Months later, Noah was out to his whole family, most of his coworkers, and anyone who mattered. We weren't perfect, arguments flared, insecurities crept in, but we faced them together. My art flourished, inspired by love and honesty. Noah's confidence grew, his fear giving way to pride. One night, under the same city lights where we'd first kissed, Noah took my hand. I'm still scared sometimes, he said, but I'm not running anymore. You're my truth, Elias, and you're mine, I said, kissing him as the city sang around us. This version swaps Jamie and Marcus for Elias and Noah, shifts the setting to Brooklyn and Manhattan, and gives the characters distinct backgrounds, Elias as a painter, Noah in marketing. The emotional beats, attraction, confession, tension over coming out, and resolution remain, but the details, dialogue, and pacing are fresh to create a new story. The first time Alex left his bedroom door open, it was an accident. He'd stumbled in at 2:17 a.m. after a 12-hour coding sprint, kicked off his shoes, and face-planted into the pillow without bothering to shut the world out. Liam, awake in the living room with a sketch pad balanced on his knee, heard the soft click of the latch failing to catch. He told himself he was only checking that Alex hadn't passed out on the floor. He told himself a lot of things in those days. Their apartment was a narrow railroad flat in Bushwick, the kind of place where the kitchen doubled as a hallway, and the bathroom door only closed if you jiggled the knob just right. Liam had answered the Craigslist ad because the rent was survivable, and the light in the second bedroom was perfect for painting. Alex had answered it because he needed a roommate who wouldn't mind the clack of mechanical keyboards at odd hours. They shook hands, signed the lease, and agreed on 2 unspoken rules. Don't eat the last of someone else's takeout, and don't ask personal questions before coffee. For 6 months, they orbited each other like polite satellites. Liam left half-finished canvases leaning against the fridge. Alex left energy drink pyramids on the coffee table. They shared the occasional beer on the fire escape, trading small talk about gallery deadlines and startup valuations. Liam learned that Alex's parents were first-generation Korean immigrants who'd opened a dry cleaning business in Flushing. Alex learned that Liam's mom taught high school art in Portland and his dad sold vintage guitars. Neither of them learned the things that mattered. Then came the night of the open door. Liam padded down the hall in sock feet, sketch pad tucked under his arm like a shield. The bedroom glowed faint blue from Alex's monitor. Alex was sprawled on his stomach, one arm dangling off the mattress, mouth slightly open. He looked younger than 26, almost fragile. Liam's chest did something complicated. He told himself it was concern. He told himself a lot of things. He meant to retreat. Instead, he lingered in the doorway, studying the slope of Alex's shoulder beneath the thin t-shirt, the way his hair stuck up in defiant cowlicks. When Alex stirred and mumbled something that might have been code, Liam fled. The next morning, Alex closed the door firmly behind him, cheeks pink. "Sorry about the mess," he said, pouring coffee with exaggerated focus. "Long night." "No worries," Liam answered, and pretended he hadn't memorized the exact angle of Alex's jaw in the half-light. They didn't speak of it again. But the door stayed closed, and the air between them thickened with everything unsaid. The shift was gradual, the way gentrification creeps block by block. Alex started lingering in the kitchen while Liam cooked, asking questions about brush techniques as if he understood the answers. Liam started saving the sports section of the newspaper because Alex liked the box scores. They discovered a shared love of old Wong Kar-wai films and a mutual hatred of kale. They laughed at the same jokes. They stopped flinching when their knees bumped under the table. One Thursday in late March, Alex came home with 2 tickets to a Mets game. "Coworker bailed," he said, shrugging like it was nothing. "Figured you might want to come." Liam had never been to Citi Field. He spent 7 innings pretending to care about baseball while cataloging the way Alex's eyes crinkled when he cheered, the way he worried his lower lip during tense moments. On the subway ride home, drunk on cheap beer and stadium lights, Alex leaned his head against the window and said, "Thanks for coming. I hate going to things alone." "You're not alone," Liam said, and the words felt heavier than they should have. That night, Alex left his door open again, on purpose this time. Liam stood in the hallway longer than was strictly necessary. He could hear the soft rustle of sheets, the occasional tap of fingers on a phone. Finally, he knocked once, tentative. "Yeah?" Alex's voice was rough with exhaustion. "You okay?" A pause. "Can't sleep. Too much caffeine." Liam hesitated, then pushed the door wider. Moonlight striped the room through half-closed blinds. Alex was propped against the headboard, knees drawn up, looking impossibly young. "Want company?" Liam asked. The first time Alex left his bedroom door open, it was an accident. He'd stumbled in at 2:17 a.m. after a 12-hour coding sprint, kicked off his shoes and face-planted into the pillow without bothering to shut the world out. Liam, awake in the living room with a sketch pad balanced on his knee, heard the soft click of the latch failing to catch. He told himself he was only checking that Alex hadn't passed out on the floor. He told himself a lot of things in those days. Their apartment was a narrow railroad flat in Bushwick, the kind of place where the kitchen doubled as a hallway, and the bathroom door only closed if you jiggled the knob just right. Liam had answered the Craigslist ad because the rent was survivable, and the light in the second bedroom was perfect for painting. Alex had answered it because he needed a roommate who wouldn't mind the clack of mechanical keyboards at odd hours. They shook hands, signed the lease, and agreed on 2 unspoken rules. Don't eat the last of someone else's takeout, and don't ask personal questions before coffee. For 6 months, they orbited each other like polite satellites. Liam left half-finished canvases leaning against the fridge. Alex left energy drink pyramids on the coffee table. They shared the occasional beer on the fire escape, trading small talk about gallery deadlines and startup valuations. Liam learned that Alex's parents were first-generation Korean immigrants who'd opened a dry cleaning business in Flushing. Alex learned that Liam's mom taught high school art in Portland, and his dad sold vintage guitars. Neither of them learned the things that mattered. Then came the night of the open door. Liam padded down the hall in sock feet, sketch pad tucked under his arm like a shield. The bedroom glowed faint blue from Alex's monitor. Alex was sprawled on his stomach, one arm dangling off the mattress, mouth slightly open. He looked younger than 26, almost fragile. Liam's chest did something complicated. He told himself it was concern. He told himself a lot of things. He meant to retreat. Instead, he lingered in the doorway, studying the slope of Alex's shoulder beneath the thin t-shirt, the way his hair stuck up in defiant cowlicks. When Alex stirred and mumbled something that might have been code, Liam fled. The next morning, Alex closed the door firmly behind him, cheeks pink. "Sorry about the mess," he said, pouring coffee with exaggerated focus. "Long night." "No worries," Liam answered, and pretended he hadn't memorized the exact angle of Alex's jaw in the half-light. They didn't speak of it again. But the door stayed closed, and the air between them thickened with everything unsaid. The shift was gradual, the way gentrification creeps block by block. Alex started lingering in the kitchen while Liam cooked, asking questions about brush techniques as if he understood the answers. Liam started saving the sports section of the newspaper because Alex liked the box scores. They discovered a shared love of old Wong Kar-wai films and a mutual hatred of kale. They laughed at the same jokes. They stopped flinching when their knees bumped under the table. One Thursday in late March, Alex came home with 2 tickets to a Mets game. "Coworker bailed," he said, shrugging like it was nothing. "Figured you might want to come." Liam had never been to Citi Field. He spent 7 innings pretending to care about baseball while cataloging the way Alex's eyes crinkled when he cheered, the way he worried his lower lip during tense moments. On the subway ride home, drunk on cheap beer and stadium lights, Alex leaned his head against the window and said, "Thanks for coming. I hate going to things alone." "You're not alone," Liam said, and the words felt heavier than they should have. That night, Alex left his door open again, on purpose this time. Liam stood in the hallway longer than was strictly necessary. He could hear the soft rustle of sheets, the occasional tap of fingers on a phone. Finally, he knocked once, tentative. "Yeah?" Alex's voice was rough with exhaustion. "You okay?" A pause. "Can't sleep." "Too much caffeine." Liam hesitated, then pushed the door wider. Moonlight striped the room through half-closed blinds. Alex was propped against the headboard, knees drawn up, looking impossibly young. "Want company?" Liam asked. Alex's answer was a nod so small it might have been a trick of the light. Liam sat on the edge of the bed, careful not to crowd. They talked about nothing. The game, the overpriced hot dogs, the way the city smelled different after rain. Eventually, Alex's head tipped onto Liam's shoulder. His breathing evened out. Liam stayed until dawn, afraid to move, afraid to hope. Spring arrived with cherry blossoms and gallery deadlines. Liam's first big show was in Soho, a group exhibition that could make or break his year. He painted until his wrists ached, until the apartment reeked of turpentine and possibility. Alex became his unofficial cheerleader, bringing home takeout when Liam forgot to eat, leaving post-it notes on the easel that said things like, "You've got this and hydrate, idiot." The night before the opening, Liam found Alex in the kitchen at 3 a.m., staring at a spreadsheet like it had personally offended him. The night before the opening, Liam found Alex in the kitchen at 3 a.m., staring at a spreadsheet like it had personally offended him. "Investor meeting tomorrow," Alex explained. "They want to know why our user retention sucks." Liam poured 2 glasses of water and slid one across the counter. "Because your onboarding flow is a labyrinth?" Alex huffed a laugh. "Rude. Accurate, but rude." They ended up on the couch, legs tangled under a shared blanket, dissecting wireframes until the sky turned lavender. At some point, Alex's head found its way to Liam's lap. Liam's fingers carted through Alex's hair without permission. Neither of them mentioned it. The show was a triumph. Critics used words like raw and urgent. A collector bought 3 pieces on the spot. Liam floated through the crowd in a daze, champagne sloshing in his glass, until he spotted Alex in the corner wearing the same navy blazer he'd worn to the Mets game. Alex's smile was small and proud and terrified all at once. "You came," Liam said stupidly. "Wouldn't miss it." Alex's voice was steady, but his hands shook as he raised his glass. "To the next Basquiat?" Liam laughed, breathless. "To the guy who keeps me fed." They clinked plastic cups. Around them, strangers swirled and chattered. Liam wanted to kiss Alex so badly his teeth ached. Instead, he said, "Walk me home?" They took the long way, cutting through Washington Square Park, where buskers played saxophone under the arch. Alex bought them falafel from a cart. They ate on a bench, shoulders brushing, city lights flickering in the fountain. I should tell you something, Alex said suddenly. His voice was barely audible over the splash of water. Liam's heart stuttered. Okay, Alex swallowed. I think I'm bisexual. Or something. I don't know. I've never said it out loud before. The world narrowed to the space between them. Liam set his falafel down carefully. Thank you for trusting me. Alex's laugh was wet. I've been freaking out for weeks. My parents, they're Catholic. Like rosary at dinner Catholic. My dad still calls my cousin's wife that Jezebel because she wears shorts. Liam took Alex's hand. We'll figure it out together. Alex's parents announced their visit in July, a week before Liam's birthday. Mrs. Kim booked a hotel in Midtown but insisted on seeing how our Alexander lives. Alex had 48 hours to decide whether to come out or combust. He chose combustion. Meltdown happened in the kitchen at 2 a.m. Alex paced the linoleum in mismatched socks, hands tugging at his hair. They're going to sleep here, Liam, in our home. What if they open my laptop? What if they see the browser history? What if... Liam caught his wrists gently. Breathe. I can't do this. You don't have to do anything alone. They stayed up until sunrise making lists. Worst-case scenarios, exit strategies, therapy referrals. Alex's older sister Soo Jin FaceTimed from Seoul at 6 a.m., bleary-eyed but fierce. Appa will yell. Iyama will cry. Then they'll eat your kimchi and pretend nothing happened. It's the Kim family way. Alex laughed until he cried. Liam held him until the sun painted the walls gold. The Kims arrived on a Friday that smelled of ozone and hot dogs. Mr. Kim was compact and severe in a pressed polo shirt. Mrs. Kim carried a Tupperware of homemade mandu and a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. They greeted Liam with stiff politeness, thanking him for looking after our son. Alex gave them the grand tour, the bedroom with its unmade bed and glowing monitors, the living room where Liam's easels crowded the couch, the tiny balcony overlooking a brick wall. Mrs. Kim exclaimed over the mandu. Steamer Liam had bought at her recommendation. Mr. Kim inspected the smoke detectors with the gravity of a general. That night they ate takeout jjajangmyeon on paper plates. Mr. Kim asked Alex about his promotion. Mrs. Kim asked Liam if he had a girlfriend. Alex's chopsticks froze mid-air. No girlfriend, Liam said smoothly. I'm gay. The silence was surgical. Mrs. Kim's eyes flicked to Alex, then away. Mr. Kim cleared his throat. Pass the kimchi. Saturday was torture by tourism. They trudged through the Met, where Mr. Kim lectured on Joseon Dynasty ceramics, while Alex vibrated with anxiety. At dinner in Koreatown, Mrs. Kim tried to set Alex up with the waitress's cousin. Alex's smile looked painted on. Sunday morning, over burnt toast and instant coffee, Mr. Kim laid down the law. You're 27. Time to be serious. We know a nice girl from church, Appa. Alex's voice cracked like ice. I need to tell you something. Liam reached under the table and squeezed his knee. I'm not going to marry a nice girl from church. I'm bisexual, and I'm in love with Liam. The toast crumbled in Mr. Kim's hand. Mrs. Kim's eyes filled with tears she didn't let fall. This is American influence, Mr. Kim said finally. You spend too much time with... He gestured at Liam like he was a disease. No, Alex said. The word rang out clear and sharp. This is me. This has always been me. I was just too scared to disappoint you. Mrs. Kim stood abruptly. We're going to church. She grabbed her purse and marched out. Mr. Kim followed, face carved from stone. The door slammed. Alex folded in on himself, shoulders shaking. Liam held him until the sobs turned to hiccups. Mrs. Kim came back alone that evening. She stood in the doorway, clutching her purse like a life raft. May I come in? Alex nodded, red-eyed. Liam started to leave, but she stopped him. Stay, please. They sat at the kitchen table. Mrs. Kim poured tea with trembling hands. When you were small, she said to Alex, you used to line up your toy cars by color. Red, blue, yellow. Always perfect order. I thought this child will be an engineer. Or a doctor. Someone important. She smiled sadly. I never asked what you wanted to line up. Alex's voice was barely a whisper. I just wanted to be happy. Mrs. Kim looked at Liam then. Really looked. You make him happy? Every day, Liam said. She nodded once, decisive. Then I will learn. Mr. Kim's silence lasted 3 weeks. He answered his wife's calls with monosyllables. He skipped Sujin's birthday Zoom. Alex threw himself into work, into therapy, into Liam's arms at 3 a.m. when the nightmares came. Then came the email. Alexander, your mother says I am being stubborn. She is right. I do not understand this choice, but I understand losing a son. Come to Flushing. Bring Liam. We will eat some getang and talk. No promises. Just talk. Alex read it aloud twice, voice cracking on the last word. Liam kissed the tears from his cheeks and booked train tickets. The meal was awkward. Mr. Kim served soup in silence. Mrs. Kim filled every pause with chatter about the neighbors. Finally, Mr. Kim set down his spoon. I was angry, he said. Not at you. At God, at myself. I thought if I worked hard enough, sacrificed enough, my children would have perfect lives. Straight lives. Easy lives. He looked at Liam. You are not what I planned. Liam bowed his head. I know, but you make my son laugh. I hear it through the walls when you think we're asleep. Mr. Kim's voice roughened. That is something. It wasn't acceptance. It was a doorway. Fall brought breakthroughs in increments. Mr. Kim started texting Alex coding memes. Mrs. Kim asked Liam to teach her to paint watercolors. Sujin flew in for Thanksgiving and roasted the turkey while calling her father old man to his face. He grumbled but passed the cranberry sauce. Liam's second solo show opened in December. The centerpiece was a diptych. One panel showed a closed door, the other the same door flung wide, light spilling out. Alex stood beside it in a charcoal suit, eyes shining. Mr. Kim came. He stood in front of the painting for a long time, hands clasped behind his back. Finally, he turned to Liam. This is us? This is us, Liam confirmed. Mr. Kim nodded. Good composition. On New Year's Eve, they climbed to the roof with a bottle of soju and watched fireworks over the East River. Alex's breath fogged in the cold. A year ago, I was lying to everyone, he said. Now I'm standing here with the man I love and my dad knows my boyfriend's favorite color. Blue, Liam supplied. Like the Mets, Alex agreed. He pulled a small box from his pocket. Not a ring, not yet, but a promise. Inside was a key. Studio space in Dumbo, 6-month lease. I want to watch you fill it with color. Liam's eyes stung. You believed in me when I was still figuring out how to believe in myself. We're both still figuring, Alex said. But we're doing it together. They kissed as midnight struck, city lights exploding around them. Somewhere below, a stranger cheered. Liam laughed into Alex's mouth, tasting soju and possibility. They kissed as midnight struck, city lights exploding around them. Somewhere below, a stranger cheered. Liam laughed into Alex's mouth, tasting soju and possibility. June brought Liam's first museum acquisition. Alex's startup went public. They moved to a loft in Williamsburg with floor-to-ceiling windows and a bedroom door that stayed open every night. One morning in late summer, Liam woke to find Alex at the kitchen island, laptop open, frowning at an email. Dad wants to host a family dinner, Alex said. For Chuseok. He says bring your paints. He wants to try watercolor. Liam wrapped arms around him from behind. Think he's ready for abstract expressionism? Baby steps, Alex said, leaning back. He's on YouTube tutorials. That night they cooked together. Galbi and japchae and too much rice. Mr. Kim arrived with a set of professional brushes and a shy smile. Mrs. Kim brought homemade yuzu tea. Sujin documented everything on her phone, narrating like a wildlife photographer. At the table, Mr. Kim raised his glass. To family, he said. However it looks. Alex's eyes met Liam's across the candles. However it looks. Later, in their bedroom with the door wide open, Alex traced the line of Liam's shoulder. "Remember when you used to watch me sleep from the hallway?" "I was subtle," Liam protested. "You were obvious." Alex kissed the hollow of his throat. "I'm glad you were." Outside, the city hummed. Inside, two men who'd learned to leave doors open built a life one honest moment at a time. The becoming wasn't a destination. It was the space between heartbeats, the brushstroke after the last, the breath held and released. It was theirs.